Oh, hi guys. Well, today I'm interviewing Chantelle from BOXI. And hi Chantelle. Thanks for jumping on
Hi
with
guys.
me today to talk to our followers. And we're going to chat about motherhood, the good, the bad, and the inspiring side of it. As most of my followers would know, I love chatting with fellow Aussie mums in business, and I love supporting other mums and just really showing the reality of motherhood. And I think that we'll just maybe dive straight into the questions.
Let's do it.
Yay! So, Chantelle, my first question for you is, can you tell me a bit about yourself and your motherhood journey?
Okay, so I feel like I had my daughter a little bit later. So I had her, I'm 38 now, she's nearly 3. So I had her when I was 35. So I'd already had a couple of careers. I was in the insurance industry for a while. I was a real estate agent. And actually, when I got pregnant with her, I was at fashion college. I decided I really wanted to just have a career in fashion, and I really wanted to do that. So but then I got pregnant. Managed to finish my studies before she was born, so that was great. And I thought I would go back to it. I really thought I would go back to it. I had visions of, taking her to styling sessions, and I used to do styling, and I used to do backstage at fashion shows, and I had this really a fantasy of taking her along to work. It didn't really work out like that, because when she was about 9 months old, I think, 8 or 9 months old, I was diagnosed with postnatal depression. So I've struggled with anxiety and depression my whole life, really. Like, the earliest in my life I remember feeling depressed or anxious, I was at primary school. So I've always sort of been plagued by it. And the first 6 months I felt okay, because you're just so tired and so distracted, but then
running on adrenaline.
I was
no, I'm with you. And then you sort of just thought, I'm rolling with it. But around 6 months, it was sort of like
totally freaked me out. I was like, whoa. But it really started to rear its ugly head when she was about 8 or 9 months old. And I suppose I've always been a determined person. I've never wanted anything like that to stop me from what I've really wanted to do in life. And I don't even remember how I came up with the concept of BOXI. It was, I think she was about 1.5 by then, and I had some therapy and learned some coping strategies. I mean, the other thing was, when I was diagnosed with postnatal depression, I think a month later was when COVID first hit.
Oh gosh,
So I was feeling really shit, and then I was stuck at home with my baby. Thankfully, my husband could work at home, so I wasn't like alone all the time, because that's so hard when you're a first-time mum, is being at home by yourself. Like, I struggled with that so much.
No, that's so true. It's a very big change.
And
then if you're not coping, and then you don't have support there with you.
No, well, we don't. And so it was really like fending for yourself. And then COVID hit. And I think, I mean, it's such a phenomenon now, people deciding they're going to end their careers and start their own businesses, and just businesses that have come about because of COVID. I'm so sick of talking about it, but it's part of the story. So during that time, I was just really racking my brain. Like, obviously I couldn't go back to fashion. There were no fashion shows on. No one was hiring. It was just impossible. So that was kind of out of the picture. But I was the business side of my qualification. I could adapt that to so many other different types of businesses. It wasn't necessarily fashion that I had to go in. And like I said, I have no idea how BOXI came about. I can't even remember how I came up with it, but I do remember like one weekend I had a huge like A3 or A2 book, like sketchbook, and I was just like smashing out all these ideas. And just went for it. The main reason why I wanted to start a gift service was those months where I was by myself when I first had my daughter, and then COVID hit. My best friend is a really good gifter, like the best gifter. She sends my daughter stuff all the time. If she sees, she's that person. She lives in Queensland, I live in New South Wales. She's that person that if she sees something that she thinks you'll like, she'll like put it in the post and send it to you like that day. So like cute. She's so
just genuine,
the best friend you could ever ask for. So the idea was kind of born out of that, because she would send me stuff, and our best friends, there's 4 of us, and we're always sending each other stuff. One of our friends is in New Zealand, 2 in Queensland, and I'm in New South Wales, so we're apart from each other. And the idea I got was, this is such a, like, when they would send me something, I'd be like, oh, it was just it wasn't like shopping online for yourself. It was like someone was thinking of you. And it was a surprise. And it was just cute, and it was nice, and it was uplifting. And so the first idea I had around BOXI was a gift subscription. So when someone's having a birthday, or had a baby, or going to have a baby, or just got married, or bridal shower, whatever, I came up with this concept of them getting a subscription, so a 3 or 6 or 12-month subscription, and every month I send them like a little gift hamper of products. And that's my initial concept, what I came up with. I pulled that back last year, and I'm relaunching it again this year for Mother's Day, which I'm so excited about, because it's going to come back with a major blow up. I'm so excited,
because it's not just one day, and then it's like little things all the time. That's such a good
and
concept.
How that concept also came about was when I first had my daughter. You know, that first like month or 6 weeks,
you get bombarded.
New stuff, flowers, you know, you're FaceTiming people like, look at my baby, and getting so much. And after a while, everyone just kind of forgets. Everyone goes on with their lives. You're at home. I mean, it's different, I think, with subsequent children, but your first one, it's so difficult. Like, I really noticed that. I was like, oh, no one's come, no one's like,
it sort of stops, and then you're like, what?
It just stopped.
And then as a new mum as well, you're like, well, you feel a bit guilty to ask, and like you know that they're busy if they have other kids or they've got things going on, so you don't want to really be like, oh, come and, you know, hang out, and I need this, but the offers sort of stop coming in.
And so the idea of the gift subscription was, it's not just sending someone something and that's it. The idea of the subscription was, you can buy them a 3 or 6 month subscription, and they'll get something every month, and you're uplifting them over that period of time, and it's sort of a longer gifting process. Which I was very attracted to. Like, the thought of
who doesn't want
every month is like
more than one person.
So that's how it sort of came about. And the way it's evolved is that I actually put that on hold because I probably did it far too quickly, and I launched it first last year, and then I pulled it back because it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And now I've rejigged it, and I'm going to relaunch it exactly how I wanted it to be. You know, sometimes in business you're like, have these visions in your head, and then you do it live and you're like, that's not what was in my head.
So and then it's harder to communicate it, and once you've done it, you're like, no, it's
I'm like,
not right.
I was like, what is this? This is not what I want to do. So, and I did learn, you can just pull things off and stop and start again. Like, it's totally fine to do that.
That's the thing. We're not perfectionists. We can make a mistake and just learn from it. Which is
probably one of the biggest things I've learned, Do you think that that's one of the biggest things you've learned?
Yeah.
Is that you can like scrap it and start again and just keep perfecting perfecting is not the right word. Keep refining until you're like, yes, that's it. Okay, here you go, everyone. Like, this is what I've done.
Yeah, that's so true.
So what I decided to do when I pulled back the subscriptions is I pivoted a bit and made my gifting store a build your own gift hamper business. Beautiful. So instead of going onto a website and you have to choose a hamper that's already done for you, I found that people were like, oh, can you take that out and put this in for me? Like, it just wasn't hitting the mark.
And then it would make you have more work as well, trying to
because I was like, okay. And so I thought, okay, what if you could just do it yourself? And it was just so popular. Like, I have a very small collection of pre-made gift hampers at the moment, and I'm actually going to relaunch a collection that's just going to sit there for people that just want to click very quickly and add something because I've forgotten their birthday or whatever.
They're like, I have no idea, or I don't have kids, I don't know, and I need to just buy a present now because damn, I forgot, and I can't go empty-handed or something.
So one of my a girl that I do my business class with, she said build a book. And I just love having this network because this is how we learn from each other.
Totally.
And it seemed like such an obvious thing once she said it, but she said build a BOXI is for your customers that know their girlfriends or their best friend or their cousin or their sister really well, because they can choose, oh, she loves this, I know that she loves this. And then pre-curated, or the pre-made hamper collection that I'm going to launch, is for the people you don't know that well, or like a colleague, or those people where you're like, oh, I need someone else to do the work for me.
You want to
there's going to be those two sections,
going over personal and picking
over personalizing it. So that is going to be our focus for this year, and I feel like that's really where I feel like I'm really going to settle on that as my model. It's funny because you feel like so focused on what you want to look like, be like, what you want to offer your customers, and it takes one person to put an idea or a point of view. Adele the other day when she said that,
you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Really coming from a customer's point of view. I'm really lucky we're all really lucky to have these kind of networks where we can say to each other, what do you think of this? Like, honestly, tell me what you think of this, or what would you want? And we get this sort of real live market research, that lots of big companies have to pay for, but we can just ask each other. So I really love that. I think it's so valuable.
And it's so good once you know that someone's going to give you that genuine feedback as well, and they know that you're going to take it on. And it's just that honesty, like, just be honest with me, tell me, because you want to get it right, and you sometimes need those fresh eyes on something that you've soul into. Like, are you sure that's right? Is that what you would use? Because we're talking to our target audience, but because I find a lot of our businesses, we are usually the target audience, but it might not be the same for everybody, you know what I mean? So
I think that we're really blinded by the love for our business and what we see. I don't think differently from my customer. I am my ideal customer. But when you're so engrossed in your business, it's so difficult to see sometimes from your customer's point of view, because you're like, some people say things, I'm like, I didn't even think of that, but yes, that's absolutely right. I think that too.
And it would be something so obvious, and you're like, oh, I'm just so close to this.
I know. You're really dumb. I'm like, oh no, why did I think of that? When Adele said that the other night, I was like, click, like, of course I should do that. Because you just, like, I was just down this little tunnel for a few months where I was just like, and things take time when you're running your own business, like, you would think, you know, relaunching a gift hamper collection, you think, oh, that wouldn't take that long. It does. It takes months to do these types of things.
Okay.
And you're on your own and you're trying to do everything yourself, and it really takes time. So
It's so true.
yeah,
And you can't do it all. You've sort of got to go, what am I honing in on now, and what's important right now, because you can't get everything's in us, you know, especially around family life and all the rest of it. You know, you've got a lot of hats to wear.
Yes.
So
yes,
it definitely becomes hard. So obviously you started your business because you wanted, did you find your priorities changed once you had kids?
I think the way I think of life changed. I think I totally took life for granted before I had her. I was just like, oh yeah, plodding along, you know, everything's fine. And then when you have a baby, you're just like, whoa, like this is life. Like someone else is relying on you. I was so freaked out by the fact that I really had to think about not just my future, but her future. I mean, a big thing for me, my mum passed away 5 years ago this year. And so my relationship with my daughter, it's not like it's more important or it's more special, but I feel that you're
going to take it for granted.
Yeah. Like I don't want to take my relationship with her for granted. And I also, it's almost like you feel like you've got to cram so much in very quickly because you don't know what the future is going to hold. And that's a good driver for me. That's a motivator for me, because I have had that kind of devastation in life, so I know that tomorrow is not promised. And so I just push to live the best life that I can while I've got it today. You know, of course we're conservative, we've got to be conservative as parents and plan for the future, but I'm really like, you know, tomorrow isn't promised, so let's just get it done. And it's so important for me to be a role model to my daughter. I didn't really have that growing up. I definitely had strong female presence in my life, but from a career, business, build yourself up, self-made, successful businesswoman point of view, I never had that. And it's really important that I show my daughter you can start anything and do and really hone in on something that you're good at, and you can be successful at it on your own without anyone else. You know, you can really do it.
I really agree with that as well.
So I think those sorts of things that I had never thought about before I had her are really intensely important to me now. And I've definitely changed my lifestyle. I haven't changed who I am. I'm still the same person, but I've definitely changed so many aspects of my lifestyle. Just to be you just want to be the best mum you can be. You know, with what you've been given, with the cards you've been dealt. So
and
that's
still
really the bottom line.
And still find like what you're passionate about, and not lose your passion, and then show your daughter that, you know, you can be passionate about something. It's going to be hard work, but if you've got a dream, go for it. And, you know, and you're showing by example that, you know, if you just, you know, take the risk, anything can happen, and it can be successful. And even though it's hard, it's got its good and bad days, but you're showing that, you know, you're still following what your passion is.
100%.
And not feeling like, oh, I have to just work for someone else because that's going to pay the bills. And that's, you know, I find a lot of the time, like, there's a lot of jobs out there and you could just work for someone else, and that was probably the easier way.
100% the easiest way. This is the hard way. But it's the best way. But it's the most rewarding.
Yes, I'm with you on that. Exactly. Do you have any advice for mums struggling with postnatal depression?
my gosh, I have so much. Do we have like 10 hours so I can go through it all?
When the Zoom says your recording is ended.
Yeah, totally. All time on Zoom is run out. I have so much advice. Like literally, I only feel like in the past maybe 6 months, I'm starting to come out of it. So that's been a 2-year journey. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If you're going through this, keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a good point.
My biggest tool that I used was therapy with so I got therapy through my church, and my faith has been a really big part of my healing journey, not just with postnatal depression, but life in general, of course. I find that my church community is something that I rely on very much. My spirituality is very important to me. And I really put it on the number one pedestal. It's something that is unchanging. It's a constant. So I rely on that a lot. When you have anxiety and depression, you live either living in the past or you're living in the future. And I think your spirituality can bring you back to right now. So that's my number one thing that I rely on. But yeah, therapy. And one thing that I really noticed when I first started Googling, because you know,
which is
Google
so
has all the answers to postnatal depression. I was like, I'm a night owl, so I'd be up till 3 o'clock in the morning Googling things. But I noticed there's a lot of information on postnatal depression. There's not a lot of first-hand testimony accounts of how people have suffered from it.
That's
and I think I'm not embarrassed about it personally. I know a lot of women do get really self-conscious about it and really embarrassed about it, and that's totally fine. Feel your feelings, absolutely. But there wasn't a lot of not a lot of sort of places I could go on the internet to read how other people were feeling or the things that they would go through, that they've been through with their postnatal depression.
Because you want to be able to relate as much as and be like, you're going through it too, I get it. There's not a lot of that. As
much as I don't want anyone else on earth to ever have it ever again, it's an inevitable thing. And when I did come across an article here or there where someone was interviewed about it, it made me feel so much better. I was like, I'm not by myself. Like, I'm not the only one going through this, having these thoughts, like thinking all these things. And that actually led me to one of my other goals this year, because I've got so much time.
Add more to the plate.
I am going to this year start a YouTube channel where I'm going to do like similar to what you're doing. I think I'm going to branch off into all topics, but really talk to women that have been through it, and women that are happy to share the nitty-gritty details of postnatal depression. The other thing I think men don't really get it, and I think that's a big part of women like suffering through postnatal depression, because even my husband's amazing, he's an incredible human being, and oh my gosh, I just love him so much, but he's still a man, and he just doesn't really get it. Like not they could never know what it's like. They could never know. It's like saying this is what childbirth is like. They're never gonna know, ever.
And we're very emotional, and that's just how we are. We're always thinking, we're overthinking,
and always putting them first as well. So you I think a lot of women maybe try to play it down, or even to the point of like hiding the way you're feeling, because you don't want your husband to know, and even if you do tell them, they don't really get it, so I really want to share the nitty-gritty stories, so that if someone is going through it, they can show their family or their friends or that don't really understand, this is what it's like. Watch this video. This is what it's really like for me some days, you know. So I really want to get into that. So maybe you can be one of my guests on my YouTube channel.
Why not?
And so yeah, my advice, I just go on these tangents. I
love it. You're so passionate, but it's
really
so good because you're trying to help. Like that's the thing that I love. Like you're not just doing it, like you've gone through an experience and you're thinking, well, hold on, there's other mums that must be like me and going through similar story. And you don't want them, we could just say, no, stuff it, who cares, you're on your own.
Like, I never want to talk about it ever again.
Yes, in my past, leave it in the past, but you are very genuine and just feel like there's a story to be heard, and you can be a voice for those mums that are going through that. And
100%. That's what I just think, if I can just alleviate a tiny bit of that pressure. And I also think about it in the way that, like, I was in an amazing situation. I have a secure home, I have a really supportive husband,
like
my
you're not
daughter was
allowed
healthy.
to feel that way.
If people don't have that, like I think about single mums that have babies that are by themselves and have postnatal depression. I honestly just want to move in with them and help every single one of them and just be like, it's okay. Like, I'm here. I'm going to help you. It's fine. Like, you know, the people whose situation is not just a postnatal depression, but they've also got other pressures in life, you know, like I can't imagine. So if something that we're doing, like what you're doing with your business, with your product, with your intention is helping, you know, I love that.
A little difference any way that we can. We're not just doing it for ourselves, which is, you know, and it's just for another mum to go, yep, high five, I'm with you, sister.
Yeah, totally.
We're not alone, we're in it together.
Yeah.
But it's so good. I'm love your passion.
It's so uplifting, hey, when you meet like-minded people too, it's just like,
we're all on the same page.
My people.
You're like, I love it. So Chantelle, maybe what I wanted to say then is, how can my Mummas Wear followers find you and shop for your gorgeous hampers and BOXI?
Well,
yes.
You can go online. So my website is www.send BOXI BOXI.
I love it.
.com.au, and my Instagram handle is @send_BOXI. And my Instagram page is, I try to be very interactive and really interact with my followers. I think it's so important. So it's a really fun place to be, and it's a very beautiful place to be because we have so many beautiful products. So it's very exciting. And one of my key focuses with my business is I stock products made by Australian women. It's one of my big focuses is supporting other mums. So our products are made by women that have been in business for 20 years, stay-at-home mums that have been in business for a year, the whole shebang. So that's something that I'm really, really proud of. And it's such amazing products. I find it really hard not to eat them, not to use them. Like it's really
like, everything's for me.
I'm looking at all the chocolate and candy over there right now, and I'm just like, oh god.
Put something over the top of that, Chantelle.
It's a fun job to have.
But that's so good that you've aligned the businesses that you want to work with are obviously aligned to your values. And there's a lot of people now that do value supporting Australian owned businesses and women in business. So you've done that hard work for them in having that all those products there available for them to choose from. So that's great.
It is really cool.
Thank you so much. It's been I really appreciate you sharing your story and your business vision with us. And for everyone listening, go and check out BOXI and Chantelle's business. And if you need to buy a gift for someone special, then she's the girl. She's your hookup. Okay. And thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working together more in the future. Maybe we could do a little giveaway, collaboration, something.
Ooh, I never say no.
Who loves a freebie?
Yay. Awesome. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon, Chantelle. Bye.
Bye.